Today we will be learning 2.5, reason using properties from algebra. Properties from algebra, we first have the algebraic properties of equality. Let A, B, and C be real numbers. Your properties are if A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C, meaning if you add a value to both sides of the equation, A equals B, they are equal. Same thing if you subtract from both sides of the equation to keep your equation equivalent. Multiplication property, if you multiply both sides, you'll keep your equation equal. Division property, as long as you don't divide by the value of 0, when you divide the left side of A, you also divide the right side of B. And the last thing we have is the substitution property. If A equals B, then A can be substituted for B into any equivalent expression. So what we're going to do is we are going to solve using properties, and the properties that we use are the operations that we do to solve an equation. You have your equation on your left side, and then you're going to write your reasons on the right side. So we are given the equation based on the information of solving 3x plus 8 equals negative 4x minus 34, and then you're going to write a reason for each step. So to begin, what we do mathematically is we are going to get the x's together. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides. If I need to solve the math off to the side, I'll solve the math off to the side. So, with a pencil that actually works. Okay, we'll just solve with a pen. So, 3x plus 8 equals negative 4x minus 34. I'm going to add 4x to both sides. I'm going to get 7x plus 8 equals negative 34. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. 7x equals negative 42. I'm going to divide by 7. And my last bit is x equals negative 6. So each one of these steps is a line in our walking through process. So what we do is we write down the simplified form. So after I added 4 to both sides, I get 7x plus 8 equals negative 34. So I write down 7x plus 8 equals negative 34. And the property that I did here is I added to both sides, so this is the addition property of equality. Okay, on the next one, let's zoom in here just a little bit more. There we go. So I subtracted 8 from both sides. So my next step is here. And so I have the next line of 7x equals negative 42. Let's use a darker green on that one. And that's the subtraction property of equality. And the last line, the next line that I did was division property. So here, when I divide both sides, I get x equals negative 6, and that's the division property of equality. So what you do is you write down the simplified line, but the operations that you do as you go through and solve, that's your properties or your reasoning. So what we're going to do next is we are given a problem. It says the cost of C of using certain cell phones can be modified by the planned rate, and it's given to us as 0.30 times the quantity of m minus 300 plus the quantity plus 39, where the minutes are over 300, and then we're going to solve for m. So each line, what we're going to do is we're going to say what happened to the next line. So the first thing that we did here is we went from 0.30 outside, and then we simplified it by multiplying times the m and the 300. So that's actually called a distributive property. So we're going to call a distributive property. of equality. Okay. Then we have the next line. What did we do? So we simplified here. We went from negative 90 plus 399. So we combined like terms or we simplified. From here, we had a negative 50.01, and then the next line we have a plus 50.01. So what we did is we added 50.01 to both sides. So this is the addition property of equality. And last but not least, to get m by itself, in order to get rid of multiplying by 0.30, we had to divide. So this is the division property. Some other properties that we have is we have the reflexive property, symmetric property, and transitive property. So reflexive property is I mirror myself, so A equals A, and same thing with all values. You can have A equals A, 2 equals 2, segment length equals segment length, measure of angle A equals measure of angle A. Symmetric property of equality is where you are going to switch the order. A equals B, then B equals A. So if you switch the order, so anytime that you go from like M equals this value, or you switch it to be the value equals M, when you switch that order, that's using the symmetric property. And last but not least, we have the transitive property. This is a middleman property. So A to B, and then B goes to C. You can jump the middleman and take them right out and just jump down to C. Okay. So, moving on to the next page of notes. We're going to see designing a logo to sell daffodils. Use the info given. Determine whether the measure of angle EBA is equal to measure of angle DBC. So to start, we are given that measure of angle 1 is equal to measure of angle 3. They are marked that they're congruent. So since they are congruent, we know their measurements are equal. That's given. Then we know that we're going to take EBA equals the measure of angle 3 plus measure of angle 2. So angle EBA if EBA is this angle, it equals the sum of 2 and 3. That's the angle addition postulate. And then from line 1, your given line, to line 2, we changed out the measure of angle 3 to become measure of angle 1. So these values changed out. So that's the substitution property of equality. Now from here, we wrote down that measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle DBC. So we said measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 equals that red angle. So that would be, once again, the angle addition postulate. Okay. And then what we see here is we have EBA, measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2, and we get to DBC equals DBC. So this is our A, B, and C. So what we did is we had A equals B and B equals C in these two lines. Instead of taking this really long trip, we just made the connection of A to C, which is here, and this is called the transitive property. And it's of equality because it's not congruence. Equality. So the next one that we have is we have some segments. Okay. The city is planning to add 2 stations between the beginning and end of a commuter train line. Use the information given to determine whether the segment length of RS is equal to TU. So we give you that RS is equal to TU, or excuse me, RT is equal to SU. So RT So the segment here and the segment to here, so the distance from R to T and S to U are congruent. And then we know that ST is shared between the two of them. That's the reflexive property. So RT and SU share segment ST, so we say that in both equations that ST equals each other. And so when we measure it or add it to anything, we are adding the exact same value to both parts. So on this segment, we have RS, so segment RS plus ST, so part plus part equals the whole of RT. That's the segment addition postulate. And then we say that ST plus TU equals SU. So ST plus TU equals SU. These two actually go to the same. So if you want to write it again here, segment addition postulate. Okay. So up ahead, or up above, we said that RT equaled each other and SU equals each other. Okay, so RT equals RST, and we said SU equals this statement. So since both of these equal the blue and the red, we can do a double transitive case, or you can do a substitution, but substitution is referred to only with numerical values. So this is a double transitive case. So we substituted in, or we went from A to B, B to C. So then this segment equals RT, and we went from A to B, B to C, and so this part equals SU. So this is transitive. Wow, it helps if I can spell it quality right. Quality. There we go. And so now, if these both have ST on both sides, I can use the subtraction property and take them away because they are equal to each other up here above. So when I subtract them both, RS equals TU. So this would be the subtraction property of equality. So this is the whole lesson. I really want you to watch through it again if you are not sure about it. And then I would like to see you guys work on the homework. Now, the homework for tonight is going to be part of this lesson. And I will come back and I will work with you on the second part on Friday. But the part that I would like you to try for tonight is number 3. 4, 6 through 11, page 100. So this is day 1. Day 2 is page 101, number 16 through 18, 21 through 25, and 30. So day 1's homework is going to refer to just this first part here, which is the first part of the notes, working on solving equations. And then the second part is going to be working on this part, which I will go over again in class, but I just wanted you guys to have all of this down so we can discuss it and everything else. So good luck, and if you do have questions, make sure you use the Remind app. If you don't have Remind yet, if you join Remind, the class code is GOMPOM. And it's 81010. Let's try that again. 81010 if you would like to text to it. And you put an @ symbol above this, or you just have the app and you can join.